Hi everybody. In today's video, we're going to be looking at the idea that AI can be used as a study buddy for students. So you can see I've got this Canva presentation here. I will put the link in the description so that you can access this and take a look at it. But let's go ahead and get started. And we'll start with just a little bit of research on why I think it's important to engage students with AI. And then we'll look at a few tools that I think are good in this space. So let's get started. So as I mentioned, we're going to start here with a little bit of research, which I think will give us a bit of context as to why I think it's important that we engage students with AI, responsibly, of course. So this research is from August of 24. This is from the Digital Education Council, and this surveyed almost 4,000 students across 16 countries, bachelor's, master's, doctoral students in multiple fields of study. And this is what they said. 71% of them agree or strongly agree that their university should train them to effectively use AI. 86% of them use Gen AI in their studies already. 58% feel that they lack sufficient AI knowledge and skills. And lastly, 48% said they do not feel prepared for the AI-enabled workplace. And you can see the full report here, and you can take a look at all of this. But a couple of points here. One, they are already using it, so let's guide them in their use and make sure they understand how to effectively use this as they move forward from their university studies into the workplace, and make sure they have the knowledge and skills, and I would add in here ethics, to use these responsibly. One more piece of research. This was from July of 2025, and this was a little over 1,000 students from 166 2- and 4-year institutions. And you can see more information about this survey here, and there's a link here at the top. And what you can see here is these are the top ways that students think their college or university should help prepare them for a future shaped by Gen AI. I'll just look at the first couple here. 46%, these are color coded, matching down here. 46% want us to offer training on how to use AI tools professionally and ethically. And 37% want us to provide clearer instructional guidance on ethical use versus misuse of AI tools. And I'll just throw in one more here. 35% want us to create a space for open discussion about AI risks and potential. I do think these are really important for us to have these conversations with students. I think in my opinion, I think there's a lot of confusion or students not being clear about how they should use AI, specifically in different classes, but really as they are using it just in their lives in an ethical way. So this was about a year later after the first research, and it's saying largely the same thing, that they really would like us to step into this and help teach them more about using AI. So let's talk a little bit about student use of AI. The first thing I want to mention is that ChatGPT and Gemini both have kind of learning pathways that you can access, students can access if they want to study and learn about a topic. And you can see I've got screenshots here on where to find those inside of ChatGPT and Gemini. And the idea here is that it will guide students in their learning and not just give them answers. So I have done some testing with this and some experiments, and to be honest, it's fine. But I actually think that well-crafted prompts that maybe you're giving students might go a long way in them using these prompts, really even in the regular versions of ChatGPT and Gemini. So what kinds of prompts do I mean here? So on our next slide here, I've got a few sample prompts, and I want to point out that this link here will actually take you to a Google document where you will see all sorts of student-driven prompts just to use as a guideline to help us think about some of the ways that students can use AI effectively and responsibly in their studies. So you can see I have 5 examples here. Study tools, research and summarization, time management and organization, debate and role play, and communication skills. And I'll just pick one here. Time management and organization. I'm in grade, enter the grade, and I have a big assignment or project about the topic. Can you help me break it down into smaller steps and make a schedule to stay on track? It might even be useful here for a student to upload the assignment or rubric or really any details that they have to give a bit more context to this. Here's a debate and role play one. You are, choose a historical figure in the year, choose a year. I'm a journalist from 2025. Answer my questions about topic strictly from your current year perspective. No hindsight or spoilers. I'll be grading your historical accuracy. I'll type done when I'm finished. These are just two examples of what we can find inside of this document. So let me go ahead and open the document and just show you a little bigger picture of what's involved. Okay, here is that document that are sample prompts for students. And you can see there's quite a few prompts in here that could be used with students. And certainly this is not an exhaustive list, nor are these perfect prompts, but it's just to really get you started thinking about ways you might be able to provide prompts for students to use AI in a different way. So again, we have study tools, time management, creative thinking, debate and role play, I had mentioned, communication skills, professional opportunities, self-reflection and growth. So again, feel free to use this. This is linked inside the Canva presentation. Modify these prompts, expand on them. Maybe again, it'll help you think of some other ways that you could help students to prompt in an effective way for your class. So let's go back to the presentation again. Now, the last slide I have here are just 4 tools that I think could work well for students to use regarding AI. If you're looking for more than these 4, this link right here in the middle will take you to another Google document where you can look at all sorts of additional tools that might be helpful for students to use. But I chose these 4 because I think they're pretty directly related to how students can use these in their studies. So Notebook LM, if you are not familiar with Notebook LM, it allows you to upload files of any kind, ask it questions about your content, it produces podcasts, summary of content, it creates flashcards, and so on. I will show you an example of that. And next to all of these is a link that says try it out, where you can actually take a look at how this might work from a student perspective. And I'll open all of these up in just a second. Goblin Tools help students to create lists for assignments or projects. It also helps students to identify tone of written content. You can try it out here. These links at the top also take you to the tools directly. Magic Student and School AI allow the instructor, teacher, professor to set up rooms that students can engage with, a kind of a private chat room that the instructor or teacher always has access to see what the interactions are between the chatbot and the student. And these can be set up so students receive tutoring, they might get feedback on a paper or a project, they might talk to a historical figure or a figure from a book. It might help them brainstorm ideas and so on. I have here, again, a try it out. It's just a Google document that shows you all sorts of rooms you could enter to see what these tools are like. Lastly, over here on the left, there's a tool called AI Tutor Pro, and this allows students to use this tool to quiz or check their knowledge or assist them learning new content. And again, you can try it out. So let's just briefly look at each of these tools in a little bit more specific way so you can see what they look like. Okay, this is Notebook LM. You can add all sorts of resources to a notebook that you can then create resources from. So here is where I would add my sources. You can see I can add things in from a Google Drive, from a website, so it might be an article or something you're finding online, YouTube videos, you can copy and paste text, you can also bring in PDFs, audio files, and so on. In this particular example, I brought in 2 videos about World War II, just for example. From here, you can see there's this chat inside. I'll go ahead and refresh this just to show you. It'll give you an overview of what these 2 sources have to say. And then you can start asking questions to the chatbot about your resources. They give you some examples of what questions you might ask, but you can ask anything that you want here. And then when you ask those questions, I'll go ahead and take one of their samples here. It will not only give you an answer, but it will cite itself inside of these sources on where it's finding the answer. In the case of videos, it's using the video transcripts in order to find the answers. So let's say we come back up here and we say, where does it talk about this? I'd like to know where you're actually citing this. If I click on this, it'll take me to the part in this case, a video where it talks about that. So it cites itself, and you can definitely make sure it's fact checking and making sure those things are correct. So you can chat with it, but over here is a really cool area called Studio, where students can create all sorts of additional resources to help them. Things like flashcards or quizzes. Under reports, you can see we could create a briefing document, a study guide, and so on. We can also create an audio overview, which is a podcast, a video overview, or a mind map. I did create a few of these just to show you. So here we'll look at flashcards. This is giving them flashcards on this particular resource. So, or two resources actually. What two major events primarily shaped America's idea about foreign policy during World War II? If I flip it, it will tell me the answer. If I click explain, it'll actually open up over here, and it will take my question and answer the question about the flashcard, again, citing itself with the answer. So really powerful. Okay, and here's another question, and so on. If I go back to my studio here, you can see I've also got a quiz I could take to quiz me on this material. Here they are. There's also a hint option. I gave a video overview, which if I click on it, and these take, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes to generate. This will actually walk through a overview of my content in video format.
Hey, welcome to the Explainer. So today we're going to talk about an event that didn't
I can jump ahead.
Slow shift.
Okay, you get the idea. Lastly, I'll show you this podcast, which is pretty cool. If I click on this, I can actually play a podcast about these materials.
Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into your sources on World War II, but we're not just doing the usual rundown of battles.
No, definitely not.
Okay, you get the idea. This is 20 minutes long, and it's a podcast based on the content here. Last thing I want to mention about Notebook LM, if you are using a public account, you can choose to share this. You can get anyone with a link has access to the full notebook. And while students can't create new materials, they can access any materials you have created. If you're using an organization account, like a school account with a school, you can share these, but they have to only be shared to people inside your organization. That's Notebook LM. A lot of power here that would help students to study materials in a really engaging way. So let's move on to the next one we saw, which was Goblin Tools. Okay, this is Goblin Tools, where you will see a lot of different tools students can use to help them in their studies or working through projects. Lots of things here, like read the text of something you're going to send out for a motion. You can ask the professor to explain something to you. The Magic To Do is, in my opinion, probably the most popular one. In this case, you open this up, you say you have a project coming up and you want Magic To Do to break things down for you into smaller tasks. So let's say we are creating a literature review is our project. I'm going to go ahead. Over here is your spiciness level, how detailed you want things to be. I'll leave it right here in the middle. I'll add this, and I will ask this to break down the items for me. So it'll take it just a few seconds to break these down into subtasks for me. So here are the things that I need to mark off in order to complete this project. If, let's say, I feel like I'd actually like this to be broken down more, what other subtasks might be underneath this? I can do that, and these are subtasks. So there's some other options here too, where you can estimate the time, you can edit it, you can remove it if you've actually already done that. So a really good tool for students to help them to break down big projects into smaller tasks. As I understand, this tool was actually created for neurodivergent students who have a hard time kind of seeing all the details of things that need to be done. I think it's helpful for any student, really anybody, to help a big thing look look a little bit smaller in the task that you need to complete. The next one is School AI and Magic School. Now, if you're interested in actually creating and setting up these rooms, that's a different tutorial, but I wanted to just give you the idea of what it would look like for students. So using School AI, there are 7 rooms that you can enter to try out these small chat rooms on different topics: interviewing Ruby Bridges, looking at the book Charlotte's Web, science fair, brainstorming project brainstormer, and so on. There is a separate set of rooms using Magic Student, which is a tool through Magic School, just to again give you an idea of what these might look like. So feel free to try out any of these rooms to see what this might look like for a student, if it might work into your own classroom. And the last tool on our list is called AI Tutor Pro. And I'll show you what this one looks like. This is where you can come in and check your knowledge of skills or learn about something new by growing my knowledge and skills on any topic. So, and there's also a discuss my knowledge and skills on any topic. So if I want to check my knowledge and skills on any topic, let's go here and let's go ahead and put in, I'll say, since this was our example in our Notebook LM, I'll say World War II. And you could also, I should mention, upload your own content, much like Notebook LM, where it'll ask you questions based on the content you provide. So I'll go ahead and here's some options here about what is your learning level: basic, undergraduate, professional. We'll say basic here, and then your language. So if I hit start, it will start engaging with me, and it's kind of quizzing me on this. You can also see there's an audio option here as well.
Welcome to AI Tutor Pro.
Okay, you get the idea. And here I can send it, ask me another question, and done. So this could be a helpful tool for students who want to make sure they know about their knowledge, again, a topic or by content, or to grow their knowledge in something as well. So let me head back to our presentation and finish us up here. So we just took a look at these 4 tools, which is just a starting place of how students might be able to engage in AI, start to learn a bit more about it, and do so responsibly and ethically as a student. So I'd encourage you to try out these, or maybe even some others on this student-based tools list, and let me know how it goes and if you have any questions.